Welcome to Masterpiece Platinum. I'm your host, Laura Linney. Tonight, we present Murder Abbey, about the beautiful and privileged occupants of a grand English estate almost a century ago. Some viewers have expressed concern that in my previous work in film, television, and on the stage, I have been able to express complex human emotion to an Academy Award nominee level, but for some reason, while hosting, playing essentially myself, I seem completely soulless. Don't worry, Laura Linney is operating within normal parameters. Nothing is amiss. Scanning, scanning, scanning. Humans present. In order to survive the economic meltdown and to squeeze more donations out of our viewers, PBS brings you a tale inspired by the ratings of Downton Abbey. Using an advanced algorithm, my systems have processed the most popular costume drama conventions and present a tale using 40% Downton Abbey, 25% old lady detective, 10.5% exaggerated two-dimensional portrayal of Americans, and 1.979-2% syphilis. But in tonight's tale, events take a dark turn and lead to murder. Skin bags like yourselves find murder entertaining. Laura Linney does not understand. And now PBS and Linnybot welcome you to Murder Abbey. important, and I want you to listen carefully. I have to get out of this house to die, or I'll lose my job of working 20 hours a day and living a life of celibacy and treachery for £12 a year. And what would I tell my mother? I'd end up in a workhouse. Although I guess I'll be dead, so it would most likely be a zombie workhouse. It's getting dark now. I must crawl away. The floor will be forever spotless, and Dottie the housemaid will never be known, or seen, or avenged. She was a silent servant. The best kind. Goodbye forever, Inspector. The faces I make for my suitors. They're so boring. I've perfected the art of looking interested with this face. And this face. And this face. Pardon me, that was just a sneeze. Dr. Davies thinks I have epilepsy, but my parents and I agree that someone as highborn, such as myself, could never have such a horrid disease. I'm so glad the inspector asked you to come and investigate these murders, Miss Beecher. The police are so middle class, I can hardly stand to look at them. I will not mourn the servants. They were so ill-bred, I'm surprised no one had thought to murder them before. Rarely, the only face I can stand to look at is my own. So when I am looking in my mirror, I've instructed the servants that they must crouch out of view behind the furniture, so that I can be certain to see nothing but myself. I caught a chill. It's so frosty in here. I'm the most beautiful of my sisters. In order of attractiveness, I come in first, followed by Helen, and then Ethel is so ugly it would be fair to call her a monster. Which I often do. Monster, 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 that's what I say. She has one big eye that won't stop growing out of her head. And she smells odd, like a cross between a woodshed and a rotting piece of meat. And it's rumored she eats babies. They hide her away in the attic. I can't imagine having a condition so shameful you have to deny it even exists. Oh, pardon me. I was just doing a lying-down version of the Charleston. Thank you for meeting me at the speakeasy, Miss Beecher. That's what we call a pub in America. I've got to drink up before I get back to New York. They've been dry there 6 years. Prohibition, not a drop to drink. I'm devastated that my Alfie, Mr. Stevens, has been murdered. He was only working as a butler long enough to make enough money to join me in New York. But I didn't kill him. They won't railroad me like Al Capone, who's Johnny Torrio's right-hand man running a racket out of Chicago suburb Cicero, Illinois. I'm mentioning a lot of things happening in this decade that we should already both be aware of, and thus shouldn't have to be a point of discussion. If a future writer of a future show had written this conversation, he sure would be pleased with himself for all the touchstones of period authenticity. That reminds me, I got work as a hoofer in a show. I know all the dances, the foxtrot, the charleston, the breakaway, the black bottom, the lindy hop. Oh, maybe I'll meet George Gershwin, or Cole Porter, or Al Jolson, or Noel Coward. I bet you think it's crazy that a flapper like me and a butler could fall in love. But we met 6 years ago in France. I was part of the lost generation, you know. Hemingway, F. Scott Fitzgerald, Zelda Fitzgerald, Ezra Pound, John Steinbeck, Mr. Stevens, and me. We were all together in Europe. Europe is where Mussolini is. Fascism. Some people think we need fascism to fight communism, but some people think both are bad. Nazis on the horizon. Look out, Jews! I bet you the murderer is the ugly sister Ethel. She's a real boilerplate, a 5-piner, a bug-eyed Betty. Literally, she's got one big eye. And Alfie heard that she's babies. He was gonna blackmail her and then give me the dough. Jack, rubes, cabbage, kale, Mazuma, rhino, scratch, heavy sugar. Tommy guns, Pablo Picasso, Art Deco, marathon dancer, the stock market, King Tut, Mount Everest, Mahjong, Thai call, Jack Dempsey, dirigibles. You did a wonderful job with the dinner service, Mr. Brown. Ever since you came this morning to replace the murdered butler, you've made such a change here. It's like everything is brighter and kinder. You're the kindest man I've ever known. Oh, my dear, wonderful Mr. Brown. I'm in love with you. And I don't care that you're the butler and I'm a lady's maid. I don't care that I don't really know you very well at all. But of course, why would you want me? I'm just a poor housemaid spinster. I'm sure your family would prefer that you marry someone better. But you love me too? Oh, I've been dreaming and praying to find love for so long. It's the only thing that could pull me out of this bleak life of indentured servitude. But you're not free? You're engaged to another? Happiness slips through my fingers again. But she died? Of Spanish flu? It was a horrible, prolonged, and torturous death? Oh, happy day! Then you're free to marry! And this is a proposal! No, I'm happy. I'm happy. We'll build our own little house and I'll plant a garden. Oh, I never in my whole life thought I would be this happy. But you have a dark secret? You're here in disguise? You're the new heir to Murder Abbey? Oh, happy day! Then you're rich! You have 5,000 pounds a year! Where are you going? You don't want me now, do you? I'm too poor now that you're alone. Oh, the sadness, the horrible, crunching sadness. Please don't leave me, Mr. Brown. Please don't go. Oh, you're just going to bed? It just seemed like you were moving with such purpose. Very well, my love, I will see you in the morning. Unless one of us dies in our sleep. That was just a joke. You English don't like to talk about money. Well, I'm an American, and we love to discuss delicate topics with people we just met. Hey, do you think I'll be able to purchase many servants? That's right, you don't purchase humans here. Sorry, I'm an American. We love to buy things, titles, estates, husbands. Oh yeah, I bought the Duke, and I tore down his 500-year-old palace, and I built a new one out of concrete. Americans like new things. Yes, indeed, I'm the perfect representation of all Americans. And as y'all know here in England, Americans are rude, rich, greedy, terrible people with loud, Old West accents. Take my father, for instance. He made all his money on the railroad. He invented a device that could turn young orphans into railroad ties. It's quite progressive. I'm an American, and we don't let anything get in the way of progress. Not even helpless orphans. Now I've got a title, and I get to hobnob it up with all you aristocrats. All those dead orphans back home would sure be jealous. But they're dead. Hey, speaking of dead babies, you got a gander at that ugly sister yet? They say she eats them. You ask me, that's your murderer. But you know us Americans, we love to condemn people based on rumors and innuendos. That don't work. We just grab some guns. I just thank God that I don't have any children. Of course, I'm barren. Can't hold on to a baby to save my life. And my husband, the Duke, got syphilis when he fucked his valet. And I won't let that disease pee near me. Aw, you English are too polite. But you know us Americans, we always say what we think. Honest. To the point of horrible offensiveness.
When love is breathing, when I'm blowing, you must know there's nothing in my heart. Then my eyes turn wet when snowing, that's the place I look and
Oh, Miss Beecher! Isn't badminton wonderful? I just wish I could loosen this stupid corset and these restrictive skirts. My chauffeur and I often talk about how society is changing. We're both socialists. We're having an affair. And even though we have nothing in common and he's paid to interact with me, creating a completely false and unsustainable power dynamic, we're going to elope! Yes, once women can marry whomever they choose, it will only result in happiness and no one will ever divorce again! Can you imagine what it would be like to wear pants like the men do? They're so free! If I was wearing pants, I could work for a living. And once women can work for a living, all preconceived notions of women's abilities and competency in male-dominated professions will instantly disappear. And the halls of government and industry and universities will be filled with women immediately. Yes. Once women can wear pants, I'll never close my legs again. I'll be free to fornicate. And I won't just have sex with the chauffeur. Oh, no. I'll have sex with nameless, faceless farmers in barns, sex on rooftops, chimney sweeps, sex in sewers with sewer sweeps, and there won't be any consequences or deadly sexually transmitted diseases or restricted access to birth control ever again. Yes, all it will take is for every woman to get the vote. And by the year, say, 2014, there'll be flying cars and robot manservants and a united federation of planets, called the Federation for short, led by dashing men and independent women on a star trek through the galaxy. Oh, yes, it will be glorious. Oh, say, Miss Beecher, do you know where I might procure an abortion?
It's called the Telephone Park today, and free. It's rich to the learning machine, running just lots of fun today. It's called the Telephone Park today, hey, hey. Girls were girls and boys were boys when I was a top. Now we don't know who is who, or we got what one. Kissing and rounders, begging choirs, nobody knows who's what.
Hello, Detective Lady Miss Beecher. I'm Ethel. Welcome to my attic. I heard you've been asking lots of questions. Well, my secret is clear as day. I've got one big eye. The children in the village laugh at me. But Mother says that my big eye makes me like a singular blade of grass peeking out from the dew. But I think I just got a big eye. My sister Margaret says I'll never find a husband and no one wants to marry a freak with one big eye. Mother says that I am like a snowflake and every snowflake is different and special. But I think I just got a big eye. I wish people would stop laughing at me. Just let me live. They all call me a monster, monster, monster. But Mother says the sky has room for many stars, and every star has a place in the sky. Baby brain?
Don't fail to do yourself with a little power and a pop. Keep young and beautiful if you wanna be loved. If you want to exercise on the pedal, take it off over here, over there. When you're seen anywhere with your hat off, have a permanent flag in your hair. Take care of all those charms, and you'll always be
Good evening. I'm Miss Beecher. I've gathered you all here together because I've solved the case. It's quite gratifying for me because when I'm not solving intricate mysteries, I'm sitting alone in my room with the lights out, wondering, when I die, how long will it take someone, anyone, to discover my body? My guesstimation is years. But the murders. At first, I thought it must be the dead butler's girlfriend because she's an American. And as we all knew, Americans are horrible. But that was a smokescreen created by the murderer herself. Yes, the murderer is a woman. I always suspected it had a woman's touch. And I know all about that, as I have lived my entire life and enjoyed no human's touch, but my own. Well, then now I will reveal the murderer who's here in this very room. But first, have any of you thought about setting me up with a distant elderly uncle? An old widower somewhere? I literally could have days to live, and it'd be so awful if I died a virgin. No one? In this whole place, no? Okay. Well then now I will reveal the murderer, who's here in this very room, because the murderer is me, Kate Hess, the writer and star of this show. And I am the murderer because I just murdered the established conventions of theater by breaking the fourth wall at the end of this show. And what was my motivation, you may ask? Well, I have a political statement to make. We are being culturally invaded by England, and it is time that somebody did something about it. skateboard? How do you think Ben Franklin feels? Whose line is it anyway? This was just a bad show. Why import it? Doesn't anyone remember the American Revolution? They could still be trying to win. War horse. Steven Spielberg couldn't find an American horse to do a movie about. And he couldn't find an American actor to play American president, American Abraham Lincoln. They don't even have good food in England. The Wire. A gritty show about Baltimore. And half the cast is doing fake-o American accents. Do you know what they call British actors in Hollywood? White Mexicans. Because they're cheap and they work hard. Well, I'm cheap and I work hard when I'm not getting high and looking at Harry Potter gifts on my Tumblr cache. Do you see what we're up against? America must dominate in all things, even classically British ones, like period costume dramas set in England, which is what I desperately want to be in. So let's take